Excellent. Okay, cool beans. Hello, everyone. Hello, happy listeners.
Hello, hello.
So I am Kerry, and
And I'm Amelia.
and together we are doing this fabulous YouTube channel called Just Between Us Girls. So our intention for this channel, this whatever this is going to be, we're not quite sure yet. Me and Millsy are just flying off the seat of our pants. We are hoping, as two coaches who want women to be the fullest expression of themselves and to have the best life possible, we are just wanting to take everyday scenarios and put our coaching spin on it. It's kind of a what would you do kind of scenario. Anything that kind of appeals to us that we think, oh, we could actually give some really sage advice on this.
Yeah,
We will include and we will go for. So
yeah. So
in,
we're thinking we quite often, without the tools and advice that we ourselves can give, a lot of people just kind of get it a little bit wrong and overthink things and maybe regret it and maybe realize they could have done it better. Well, we're here to hopefully show you how you could have done it better.
absolutely, because a
Yeah.
lot of people who haven't done the work, for lack of a better term, they run on their emotions and they run on their reactivity, and oftentimes our reactivity is from old patterns and behaviors that we have learnt in childhood, and they're not we don't often come from a place of our higher self because we're running on old unconscious patterns. So once you
Yeah.
start delving a little bit deeper, once you get past the reactivity and go into responsiveness, you're able to come from a much more grounded place of truth. So that's kind of what we're hoping to grind into in these sessions,
Yeah.
and show you a little bit about what we do as well as coaches. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I found a scenario that I thought would kick us off, and
Hmm.
perhaps in the future people can email us and give us something. But we'll start with one that we found on the internet.
Hmm.
Now, shall I just read it out? Maybe I'll
I
find a
reckon.
way to pop a screenshot up too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, I haven't even got a pen. Oh my gosh. I'm so professional. Haven't even got a pen. It's all right.
it's all up here.
All right.
All
Go.
right. So the scenario we found, the heading is, Am I required to make my husband feel better? This is from a 30-year-old female regarding her 37-year-old husband. My husband woke up upset this morning. He says he's just feeling bummed, upset, but he doesn't know why. Just feeling down, which is fine, but he's walking around visibly upset, slamming doors, stomping, etc. When I speak to him, he doesn't really want to talk. So at this point, I feel I've done my part in being a partner. He doesn't want to talk. Let him be in his feelings, right? Well, I go about my business for the day. We have two kids, one I homeschool, so I did that. Painted with my youngest, fed meals, watched a movie with the oldest, etc. All while he's still upset. All the way past dinner, little things triggered him a little more. I do try to ask what's wrong if I did something. His response would be no, or I'm fine, and walk away. Just earlier, around 9 p.m., he's confessing that he's feeling low and that I'm making him feel like I don't care because he could use a hug or some sort of something to make him feel better. My defense is he should be responsible at some point to communicate exactly what he's needing from me because I don't know what he wants until then. He says he shouldn't have to ask for something like a hug. I should see he's feeling bad and want to make him feel better. Honestly, though, it wasn't like he was walking around sad. He seemed angry or irritated. I communicated how I didn't want to console someone acting like that. And a later edit says, husband was in a down mood and expected me to know to make him feel better, but shouldn't he be responsible for his own feelings and communicate what he's needing in that moment? So that is our scenario.
So good. Do you
Mm.
thoughts on this? Because I've had the opportunity to make a few little notes as you're
Yes,
reading that out,
yes,
because I've only just gotten this scenario
yes.
literally 3 minutes before we hit the record
Correct.
button.
And I found that about a week ago and didn't want to overthink it because I also wanted to come in fresh. So I haven't
Mm,
really looked at that, or I haven't really engaged with it and
mhm,
put my spin on it as yet. But yes, my initial reaction is, yeah, there's definitely a communication lack or
mhm,
breakdown in this
mhm.
relationship.
Yeah.
Um, she can definitely see something's wrong, and she's asked a number of times, and the responses that she's been given haven't really given her a lot to go on.
Mhm,
That whole "you should know," I say no. We're not mind readers. We don't know. And
mhm,
she asked,
mhm,
and that was his opportunity to say, "Yeah, I could do with a hug." Like, I
mhm.
know when I'm
Yeah.
angry and I'm, in that kind of, I'm not a huggy person at that point.
Mhm,
I'm more of a leave me be, let me marinate or whatever it is that you're going through. So
mhm.
um, so we obviously don't know what he was upset about in the first place, but it's just come to pass that he could have done with a hug and was maybe getting more upset as the day went on that he wasn't getting his needs met. But again,
Yeah.
he didn't communicate those needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I do definitely understand her knee-jerk reaction. Like, he is a grown-ass man. He should know what he needs. But
yeah,
as we said in the introduction, like, a lot of us are running on unconscious patterns, and that
yeah,
we have no awareness around why we do what we do. And it's not until we bring the unconscious conscious
yeah.
that we can actually shed light on it and do something about it. So yeah, there was quite a few things in there. So interestingly, so what I've learned, so for those of you who may not know, I've got a an autistic son who's got intellectual disability as well, and we've had to engage a positive behavioural therapist in recent months, and she told me something very, very interesting, and she said that all behaviour is communication. So referring back to that scenario, so this is someone who is obviously in a secure relationship. So being in a secure relationship is very different from your Joe Blow on the street. Like, if Joe Blow on the street was acting this way, you'd be like, go about your own business. Very sorry for your troubles. But this is obviously a secure relationship. She's mentioned that she's married and they have children. So obviously, they rely on each other to a certain extent, because otherwise, why would you be in a relationship? So when you are in a secure relationship and you notice that someone's behavior is off, remembering that all behavior is communication, what are they trying to communicate? So he, through his behavior, was obviously trying to communicate that something was wrong. And yes, I understand you're a grown ass man, you should be able to figure it out. But also, you're in a secure relationship, so you do need to sometimes help your partner co-regulate to a certain extent as well. So, yeah, there are lots of different layers to it. And the difference between men and women as well is that when, boys growing up, boys are not allowed to cry, boys have got to be tough, etc., etc. So, what you will find with men is when they are dysregulated, their go to emotion or their go to expression will be anger, because it's much more acceptable for men to be angry than for men to be sad, or for men to be confused, or for men to, fear abandonment, or whatever it is, right? So oftentimes anger will be their go to because it's a very masculine emotion. That's very acceptable for men to be angry. And then I can also understand her side of things as well, by not feeling safe to want to comfort someone who's acting angry, because that probably plays into some of her issues as well. Anger can definitely be a trigger for women as well. So there are so many different layers to this scenario that we can dig into. How do you feel about
Mm.
that, Milsey?
Yeah, for sure. I heard something once that was everything we do is an act of love. Either we're asking for love, or we're giving love, or we're scared of love. So or I think there's a couple of others as well. So um, when you're acting out, it's a veiled, it's like you're asking for love but don't know how. So you're acting out instead. Like
Mhm.
if you can't get positive emotion, if you can't get positive reactions, you seek it in negative ways.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's I feel like this bad behavior that he was displaying
Mm.
was he's definitely asking for something, but she's not really knowing what.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Yeah, so many layers. And I love that. Like we're either asking for love. What was it? Asking for love.
Or I need to find the quote. Asking for love or repelling love, or it's a veiled request um, for seeking it.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that
Yeah,
interesting? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you can understand as well, like there was a bit of a, with her as well, there was a bit of an undertone of resentment because she was going through what she had done for the day. So she was homeschooling her child, she'd done
yeah,
parenting with another child. Like it was like she was
yeah.
carrying the emotional log, like the relationship log. Within relationships, we all have a log, and we are hoping that we carry one end and our partner carries the other end.
Right.
And sometimes, most of the time, women especially feel like we're carrying the log all on
Like
our own.
like the mental load.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And so, yeah, so you could tell that there was a bit of an undercurrent of, well, I'm doing all of this for you while you go away and sort yourself out.
yes.
And yet it's
While he
still,
was stomping and carrying on. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah.
and there's certainly definitely, I think Brene Brown, I watched her once in an interview and she was saying that, her and her husband, she'll be like, I'm running at 60% at the moment. He's like, well, I'm running at 30. And she's like, okay, well, I'll pick up the load a little bit for you because I've got a bit more in the tank kind of thing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes that is relationships as well. Like we're never both at 100% at any time, are we? Like there's
Hmm.
always someone who needs a little bit more of a break and needs you to carry a little bit more of the log every now and again, which is expected in a securely attached relationship, which
Yeah.
assuming this
But
one is.
sometimes when we're in a partnership, it's almost like we're competing against each other. Who's the tiredest? Who's the busiest? Who's
Mm,
who's working harder? Who's carrying that load?
yeah.
When sometimes we forget we're actually a team. As long as between us, it's the load is getting carried, and between us, someone's getting sleep, and
Hmm.
between us, someone's fulfilling the needs of the children or whatever
Hmm.
you've got going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes we forget that we're a team and we're like competitors against each other.
Yeah. I always used to call that like a dick
Yeah,
comparison contest. It'd be like,
yeah,
hubby would be like, oh, I'm so sore and I've got this and I've got my neck and my back. And I go, oh God, yeah, no, I'm me with the night duty. Like I've
yeah,
got this. And it was
yeah,
like an energetic dick comparison contest. Like who is the tightest?
yeah,
And it's like I got to the point probably about a year or so ago where I thought, you know what, love, you can have the title. Like I actually don't want to be in that energy of saying how tired I am all the time. So
yeah.
yeah, very interesting point that you bring up, but it's so true. Like we're trying. It's like, and here's the interesting thing as well. It's like we are both like the core need that he is seeking, and the core need that I find when people are acting out in certain ways, so slamming doors and being passive aggressive and making sarcastic comments, etc. The core need that we are seeking, and this is Tony Robbins stuff.
Mm-hmm,
So Tony
mm-hmm,
Robbins says that there are six core human needs,
mm-hmm,
and one of those needs is significance and importance.
mm,
And when and we all want to feel significant and we all want to feel important. It
yeah,
is a core human need. Like I always say, human needs, they're not human, oh, it would be nice if I could. It's like a need. We all need to
yeah,
feel that. And by hook or by crook, we are going to get this need met either by resourceful ways and asking for
mm-hmm,
it, or unresourceful ways by acting passively, aggressively, and whinging about the load that we're carrying. So,
right,
so we're going to get those needs met whether we like it or not. But yeah, it's all about how we go about getting these needs met. And
yeah,
in this scenario, this is obviously the need that was being met, or that wasn't being met. He was trying to get met by saying, "Look at me, I'm slamming doors. Look at me, I'm sighing. Look at me, I'm
yes,
being grumpy." And that sort of emotional bid for, "Look at me, please pay
yeah,
attention to me. I want to feel significant. I want to feel important in your world." But in the meantime, you're looking after the kids and you're paying attention to them. And I'm over here, and I want. So that's kind of what he's trying to do. And this is not her fault as well. Like you can completely understand her point of view as
Yeah,
well.
she asked. Yeah,
Yeah, yep. She's asked several times. Yep. But he doesn't know how to express it without coming across as needy because, and
right.
that's an important thing too. Having
Because again, that's one of the masculine things you touched on before about we weren't ever shown, like men weren't shown how to communicate their emotions.
exactly. Yep.
And
And
not just men. Look, there's generations of,
mm, yep.
children
And
of baby boomers. Do you think we ever learned how to,
exactly.
right?
Like our
Yeah,
baby boomer parents, they couldn't handle their own emotions. Do you reckon they could teach us about ours?
right
Forget it.
on.
It wasn't
Right.
happening, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so
So
he was.
he's saying, I'm fine, slamming doors, stomping around.
Yep.
He's asking for attention, but he
hmm
doesn't know how to ask for the huggy
Exactly.
attention. He's
Because it's not
asking,
very manly, is it, to actually need
yeah.
something from your partner, to need some love and affection from your partner. It's a very unmasculine thing to ask,
Mm,
"Look, I need to feel close to you. I need connection with you." So
yeah.
yeah, so that's yeah, so we've sort of broken it down really, really well in the fact
Yeah.
that we've spoken about secure relationships and kind of that co-regulation that you
Mm,
get into relationships for. Otherwise, be on your own. Like, why would you be in a relationship if you're not going to help your partner co-regulate and vice versa?
mm-hmm,
To some degree, we've talked about carrying the emotional load and carrying the emotional log as well. And sometimes we need to carry a little bit more of the log. Sometimes our partner needs to carry a little bit more of the log. And
mm-hmm.
obviously, in this scenario, he was expressing, you need to carry a bit more of the log today because I'm feeling a
Yeah.
bit low. So we've covered that. We've talked about how anger a lot of the time is the go-to emotion for men because
Mm-hmm.
it's much more masculine for a man to be angry than what it is to be sad or
Mm,
lonely or needing physical affection.
yeah.
So we've touched on that and understanding that all behavior is communication, and they're needing something, and then talking about the core needs, what's needed. So did he need connection with her? It seems like he
Mm,
did, because in the end, once he had processed his emotions, and that's the other interesting thing too, she did give him the space, and he did have time to actually process his emotions, and he did get to a point where he was able to say, I actually just needed a hug from you. So his need that he was looking to get met was significance and importance and connection. He wanted connection,
mm,
but with her avoiding him
mm.
was playing into any sort of abandonment issues that he has probably got, which we all have as well.
Yeah.
So there was a
So
lot playing there.
I'm thinking when you've got your angry stompy partner carrying on,
Mm,
just observing them, just keeping an observation on their body language, because at some point it was probably showing, and maybe she didn't see it, that maybe he'd gone from angry to sad, and
mm,
that maybe she could have picked up on or sensed that there was a slight change in him, and she could have then asked again,
mm,
you know, are you still fine? Do you need an like asking again what if there was a need that she could have met, and he
mm.
might have had a different answer.
Yeah, certainly,
So there's
certainly.
keeping an eye on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and she's got her hands full. Like she's got her two kids there as well.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there is a certain degree of like, is it sensory acuity or behavioral acuity towards your partner? Like being able to sense when they need something or a sense of a change
Mm,
in them
mm.
is part of being in a secure relationship. But she had her hands full too.
Right.
So yeah, there was a lot going on. But
Yeah.
one of the ways that so how could we fix it? Let's get to
Yes.
the solution.
Yes. Yes.
What more could she have done, and what more could
Mm,
he have done, and what do they
mm.
need to work on together for that
Yes.
to not happen again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Well, I
this
guess that's what I was getting at. That's what she could have done, is kept a close, like just observationally,
mm,
looking for signs of a change,
hmm
which
hmm
she possibly missed, or maybe he wasn't really displaying it. We don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
He
we can only go on
Sure.
what's in
Yeah.
this scenario. Yeah.
And what do you think he could have gone on to do?
Oh, there are so many things. So
Right.
one of the things that she could have done when he said that he was in a really down mood, she could have just had gone, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. So that empathy and that validation that it's okay to be in a grumpy mood and it's okay to be sad sometimes. Just go, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, and just say, is there anything that you need from me?
Mm.
And even if he's not ready to even know what he needs in that moment, he'll just like, oh, just leave me alone or whatever. Then just say, well, I love you and I'm here for you. And anytime you feel like you need to talk, I'm here for you.
Mm.
So that could have been her meeting him.
Giving him a safe place to express
Mm,
his needs when he's ready.
exactly. Because men tend to go into their caves, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
And I
they
think that's what she was allowing him to do, but then
mm.
wasn't left it up to him to just come back when he was ready.
Yeah, yeah, and fair enough too. Like if you
Mm.
don't know how secure relationships work and what makes good relationships and what doesn't, like you don't
Mm.
know what you don't know.
Mm.
So that's what she could have done. And then what he could have done was he could have been, look, I'm just feeling really sad. Well, he kind of did it. He said, oh, look, I just need some time to myself.
Mm.
But he could have, like, if he understood how emotional processing worked and knew all of his core human needs, would be so much easier, right?
Mm. I'm just looking back. He says he woke up upset this morning. He says he's feeling bummed, upset, but doesn't know why, just feeling down. Yeah. So
Yeah,
he could have done some inner sitting
yeah,
with it,
exactly.
sitting
Yeah,
with it, and
yeah.
really tapping in to the
Mm,
to the body and seeing what was
mm.
coming up. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you don't understand that emotions are to be tapped into and
Yeah.
your emotions are always trying to lead you back to who you really are. So if
Mm.
he was to do some of the inner work, sit in the emotion, process it, it might have gotten him to a place of, oh, this is why I'm feeling bummed. This is why I'm feeling sad. I'm anxious about our financial situation, or
Mm.
I'm worried about my relationship with the kids, or whatever it may be. So if he was to sit with it, but maybe all he was doing is that, oh God, she's running off with the kids again. Oh, the kids are more important than me, and like she was always ignoring me when I'm in a bad mood, and why is she leaving me on my own? Like, so he could have been turning it all outwards instead of inwards. Like, we're not in his brain, we're not sure, but isn't that interesting? So yeah, so
But it's
one of
funny,
them,
we very rarely would slam the door when we're alone. We sort of do it when someone's around to be seen.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
if he was home alone, he probably wouldn't have stomped and slammed.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
was doing it definitely as an attention seeking thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was definitely all that behavior is communication. And he's saying,
Right.
look at me, pay attention to
Look at
me.
me, look at me, look at me. Ignore me,
Exactly.
but look at me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
don't forget about me. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Don't
Yeah.
forget about me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that could have been done. She could have made herself emotionally available
Right.
to him a
Checked in
little
on
bit
him again,
maybe.
or
I mean, and
let
women
him let him know that she is a safe place to come back to.
absolutely, absolutely. And women can be like, oh, well, he's a grown ass man, and he should know, la 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 la. But being a part of a secure relationship is sometimes carrying that load a little bit more for your other partner to be able to co-regulate. That's what you're in a relationship for. So that's the first thing that I would do.
Mm.
Um, there's a formula that I have adopted from the Gottmans as well. Now, the Gottmans are absolute gurus when it comes to knowing what's fantastic in a relationship and what makes a relationship go very bad very quickly.
Okay.
Now, for a bit of background, so the Gottmans have done research. I think it's about 3,000 couples. They have watched, like, they've set up cameras in a hotel room and they've watched couples interacting with each other. And they've watched about 3,000 couples and they can now tell within the first 90 seconds which couples. 90 seconds or 15 minutes, the big difference. But like it's a very short amount of time anyway. The first 15 minutes, whether a relationship is going to end in divorce or not.
Wow.
They can tell very, very quickly now through the things that they see. So
Okay.
when they were observing these couples, they would watch their facial expressions, they would watch their interactions, they would test their urine for stress hormones, like they would be watching
Mm.
the color of the flushing of their face, all of these things. So one of the things they call it the masters and the disasters. So the masters, what do masters do? These are people who have strong, solid relationships that are co-regulated, they're secure attachments, and they are going to last. Disasters are the ones that are going to end.
Mm.
Even worse, they stay together.
Oh.
So,
Yeah,
like, yeah. So what
against all odds. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Right.
what do the masters do and what do the disasters do? And this is actually going to really fix that fatigue comparison contest that we have with
Yeah.
our partners as well. So one of the best things that you can do when you are in a relationship is words of appreciation and affirmation of each other.
Right.
So he was probably looking for some sort of appreciation.
Yeah.
And words of appreciation between partners when you're in a securely attached relationship goes a very, very, very long way.
Mm.
So oftentimes we think of things that we appreciate our partner for. Oh, thank God they did the lawns. Oh, thank God they vacuumed that floor. I wasn't going to have time for it. Oh, thank God they
Mm.
did the dishes. Thank God they did that. But it never gets beyond here
It
because
stays here? Right.
yeah, because we're kind of like, you know what? Well, we're a partnership, and yeah, you should be doing that. You should be doing that. So we don't ever express
Like,
our
why should I have to express something you should be doing?
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it really and truly does cost nothing, and you know
Goes a
yourself
long way. Oh, yeah.
when Ash goes, "Oh God, Amelia, I loved how you did that," or "Thank God you did that," or "I appreciate you doing that." Like, how
Mm.
warm and fuzzy does it make you
But, well, I
feel?
was going to do it no matter what you said. Like, I don't need, like, yes. Yeah, I agree.
Don't
Yeah.
need it, but you appreciate it when they go, "I appreciate you doing that."
You can feel an like opening when that happens. It's like,
Mm, yeah.
like you feel, yes, I agree. Yeah.
You feel seen,
Um,
feel appreciated.
yeah. Just on that though, words of affirmation. I know that's one of the five love languages things, do you think that that's something all couples need, or is it particularly couples that, or an individual that might be their love language?
I think if it's your love language, absolutely, but I think it goes across all levels.
Yeah.
Like it's like I love being appreciated. Like I love it when hubby comes home and he's like, "Oh, the house looks really good, love." Like that's like, "Oh, thank you. You
Yeah.
notice. That's awesome." So
Yeah.
yeah, so being able to give those words of appreciation and also receiving them as well is
Right.
important and not bringing that because what I would used to say, like, Mark would be like, I know the house looks really clean. And I was like, well, yeah, well, because it was a frigging pigsty. That's what, like, I'm throwing it back.
Yes.
So instead of
Yes.
just going, oh, thank you for noticing. Yeah, I did work.
Accepting it.
That.
I agree. That's big.
Yeah.
It's like when someone says, "Oh, a nice dress or nice earrings," and your instant thing is to go, "This old thing," or, "Oh yeah, no, I got them on special." Like you
Yeah,
wipe it away.
yeah,
Like you
you
don't accept
minimize
it.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So it's yeah,
yeah.
being
So you
able to
minimize it.
accept it is
Hmm.
is a skill, because I think we're taught like we don't want to get a big head, and who do you
Hmm.
think you are? Like,
Yep.
learning to accept
Hmm.
is a skill, is something we can all
Absolutely.
work on. Yeah.
100%, 100%. So if they were able to like feed the appreciation piggy bank
Mm.
throughout the relationship before it kind of
Right.
gets to a point where he's going, I'm just really sad and I'm not quite sure why. Like those feeding, what do they call it? Positive something feedback or loop. Anyway, it's basically feeding the positivity piggy bank within the
Yes.
relationship. So just saying thank you for things, the little pinch on the bum, the little wink, the little kiss on the cheek, like all of these little things, it's all adding positivity to the relationship. It's all adding up. And interestingly, it takes five positives to counteract one negative in a
Mm.
relationship. So if, hubby says a cross word to you and you're like, oh, oh, and you get your hackles up, it will take him five positive things to make up for that one negative thing that he's done.
Mm.
Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, but the
So you
more
can
you,
see that we all need to just do that little bit more.
yep, the
Could
positive.
that be a challenge for our listeners slash viewers?
Oh, that would be fabulous. And here's the thing too, don't expect
Yeah.
it back straight away, especially if you're not one that would normally do it. But
Yeah.
because you can't change anyone or anything,
No.
that's really important to know. But once you start to become the example, they're going to start picking up on the vibe
Yeah.
and then they're going to start hitting them back over the fence to you, which is going
I'm
to be
thinking if everyone that's listening to that with someone, that partner, friend, co-worker, parent, boss, child, if you give them a random compliment or
mm,
random appreciation,
mm-hmm.
Um, just chuck a couple of them in
Yeah.
and just see if that makes any change to the relationship at all.
Yeah. Yep. Because you know
Yeah.
yourself, like when someone just says,
Yeah.
"Oh, I love that. I loved how you handled that," or I really appreciate you doing that. It's like it elevates your mood for the whole rest of the day
Yeah.
or the next few hours anyway. It's like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
I've been seen. I've been known. It really buys into that core human need of importance and significance. Like
Yeah.
I feel seen. I feel seen.
So part two of that challenge, when someone gives you a compliment or an appreciation, accept
Mm,
it.
yes.
Actually accept it.
Without
Receive it.
without
Receive it.
minimalizing. Yes, receive it
Speak.
without minimalizing it.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
like it.
So yeah, so other things that they could have done. So those words of appreciation
Yep.
in the build up to things like this would be awesome. Then what could also happen as well in terms of reflecting on the whole day and the whole situation, it's no good trying to build your camp in the midst of the storm because
Mm,
it's not going to work.
yep.
But then in reflection, if she could have gone up to him the next day and said, "Hey, I really want to talk about what happened yesterday because I really wanted to be there for you, but I didn't know how to be there for
Mm,
you. So what was going on with you? Like I really and I'm not asking to criticize or judge. I'm asking because I really want to understand what it was like for you and what could I have done in those moments to make it better for you."
right.
Sort of coming from that angle,
Mm,
once everything's sort of calmed down, he's probably got more access to his emotions and how he was feeling once that peak of emotion was over. And then he might be able to express what he needed a little bit.
mm,
So,
mm,
yeah. And I don't want to make this sound like it's all up to her as well, because he definitely needs to do a little bit more work around processing his emotions as well. But seeing as she was the one that was asking, the advice and is it up to her, then absolutely, short answer is no, it's not up to her because you can't change anyone or anything. That emotional wave was his
mm-hmm,
journey for that particular day, and it's
mm-hmm,
not up to her to rescue him from it, but to sit with him in the weeds as part of being a secure attachment figure for him,
mm.
maybe that could have been done
Yeah.
done a bit more. But yeah.
So that's leading me back. I'm just pulling it up again. There was something he said here. Yeah. He's confessing that he's feeling low and that I'm making him feel like I don't care because he could use a hug or some sort of something to
Mm,
make him feel better.
hmm
So that brings me to two things that come to me.
mm,
He's relying on someone else to make him feel better,
hmm
which it's an inside job to make
mm,
yourself feel better.
mm,
Um, he built a story. He had built a story and didn't get clarification if it was true or not. So he'd built a story that she didn't want to help him, or
mm,
that she, sorry, what was the words again? She, sorry, didn't care. I,
mm.
I'm making him feel like I don't care.
Yeah.
So he built a story that she doesn't care.
hmm hmm
And
Yeah.
if he'd have stopped and actually said, okay, what's true now? Not 10 minutes ago, not 3 days ago. What's true now? She's busy. She's doing the kids. She's doing this. She's feeding everyone. She's painting. She's homeschooling.
hmm
So he's made up a story that she doesn't care about him.
Mm. And he's completely forgotten the fact as well that he asked her to leave him alone.
Correct.
Like,
Yes,
also,
correct.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think I think the key to that sort of interaction is A1, when you point the finger towards your
Mm,
partner and say you're doing something wrong, that's never going to end well.
hmm
Whenever you are going to have like a confrontational sort of conversation with your partner or something that could be misconstrued, always come from a place of I feel,
mm,
because no one can really argue with how you feel.
mm,
So, if he wanted to approach that situation, if he said, I felt I felt abandoned because you didn't offer me a hug or whatever it is that he was wanting in that moment. I feel abandoned because you didn't offer me a hug. What I needed from you is, and that's the formula, that's the Gottman's
Yes.
formula, is starting with I feel whatever, I feel abandoned because you didn't come up and give me a hug. What
Mm.
I need from you is, and then stating in the positive what it is that you needed from them in that moment.
Yeah.
So that's a lot better than you abandoned me. You didn't come up and see what was wrong with me.
It's very accusatory, isn't it, when you put it
Absolutely.
like that?
And no one is
Yeah.
going to, like, that's going to get people's hackles up and get them reacting straight away. It doesn't
Instantly.
give them the opportunity to respond. But if he
Yeah.
came at her with, I felt abandoned because you didn't come up and hug me.
Mm.
I really needed to feel some connection with you then,
Yeah.
which isn't very manly. And not a lot of men have
Mm.
access to that kind of language when it comes to their emotions as well. Um, and then she could have in turn said, well, I'm sorry. You did say that you wanted to be left alone, but I'm my apologies. What can you say to that? Just like, well,
Yeah.
you kind of
Thanks for
mentioned,
telling me. How about thanks for
yeah, thanks for
letting me
sharing
know?
that with me. Yeah,
Thanks for
exactly.
sharing.
You did
Yeah.
mention that you wanted to be left alone, so I was trying to.
Respecting what you last told me.
And
Yeah.
then he would be able to see her side of things as well and say, oh, well, yeah, actually, I did say to leave me alone, didn't I? So, yeah. And then you could have like a bit of a laugh about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? That like,
Mm.
yes, how that when the emotion dies down in hindsight, maybe the next day they could reapproach that whole day and just go,
Yeah.
what was going on there? When the emotions are low, like I always say, don't speak from the peak of your emotions because when
Yeah.
emotions are high, intelligence is low.
Right.
And you will very often not say what it is that you truly mean.
Anything that comes from the head is ego based, but when it
Mhm.
comes from the body, it's sort of like soul based, spirit based. So
Mhm.
that's where we want to speak from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And ego being our unconscious patterns that we
Right.
run ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. So yeah, so what would be our advice? So let's just
Wrap it
over
up. Yeah.
the whole thing. So yeah, so what would we have done? What would you do?
What would we do? So as the wife, I would have empathized with him immediately. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm sorry that you're feeling this way. Is there anything I can do? No, no, leave me alone. Okay, I'll respect that, but I'll keep an eye on you today, but you let me know when there's something that I can do for you. And hopefully that opens the door to him then
Yeah.
when his mood has changed to return.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
maybe check on him a bit through the day. How you doing now, love? You feeling a bit better? Like,
yeah,
yeah, just
yeah.
maybe. Yeah, yeah,
Just checking
absolutely.
in, checking
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
And what he could have done if he had had access to that is he could have immediately said, "Look, I'm having a rough day. I just need a bit of time to process how I'm feeling at the minute. I'll be back when I'm
Mm.
when I'm ready." Instead of throwing your weight around and wanting emotional bids, like he could have just come up and said, "Hey, babe, I just really need a hug right now." And he'd be
Yeah,
like, oh, okay. And like he'd be more than happy to. So yeah,
yeah,
definitely needed to be more in connection with his emotions as well.
right.
Which man is, right? Who good luck with that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but long story short, no, you're not responsible for someone else's mood or
No,
how someone else is feeling.
yeah,
But when you are in a secure relationship, there is an expectation of not fixing it for them, but sitting in the weeds with them
yeah.
as well.
Letting
And
them know that you're with them.
yeah,
Empathy goes so far. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep, sitting in the dark with them, holding their hand, just saying, "I know you're feeling low, and I can be here with you." And it's not about. It's really important to when you need to be there for your partner or for your child or anyone who's going through a rough time. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Like make
yeah.
sure that you are really emotionally regulated
Mm,
before you try and help anyone else regulate their emotions. So
right.
ways to regulate your nervous system is just the breaths. Big deep breaths in, ground in, and just be really calm yourself and just say, this isn't about me, this is about them. And no matter what comes up for them, whatever they express, to not judge it and to make everything okay is the most important thing, because that validation and that empathy, just someone being there to enable them to be seen and heard is half the battle won. Like that's hugely validating,
Yeah.
right? A lot of the time, you know,
Yeah.
when us as women, we meet up with our girls and we're like, la, 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 this has happened and this has happened. We just want to be,
Right.
and our girlfriends are like, oh my God, that's terrible. Oh yeah, I would have felt the same way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we're heard. How good do we come away from
Because
meeting
we're
up?
validated. Yeah. Our girlfriends are the first that we bitch to get that validation.
Mm,
If
mm,
we can give that same validation to our partner, because remember, we chose them for life,
mm-hmm.
so also the vows say.
Yep.
So actually showing it, yeah,
Mm,
being there long term and taking away any type of competition about it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Just say, yeah, I chose this person, and I don't want them to feel like crap. I want them to be the healthiest expression of themselves. How can I help them be that person?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, so that's our 2 cents worth. That's
Yeah,
just
just between us. Yeah.
between us girls. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So but
Yeah,
it's all about like the little things that you can do to build a relationship in between the moments when there's the troughs as well. Because with everything, there's peaks and there's troughs, and there's things that you can kind of do in the peaks to make the troughs not quite so deep, shall we say. And it is those
right.
words, you know, those
There's moments. Yeah,
yeah, those responding to emotional bids with your partner. That's another thing that the Gottmans say is
yeah.
when your partner, what they watched in their observations was how well are you responding to your partner's emotional bid. So they'd look out the window, you know, one of them look out the window and go, oh my God, love, look at this crazy boat. And if they didn't even look up from their paper and just go, that's like emotional bid
Right.
denied, shut down, and their stress levels would go up, their face would flush, and they would pretend to be doing something else because they felt so completely rejected. But when you just go, oh yeah, that's cool, like responding to those emotional bids, that's one of the things that makes a
That's adding
relationship.
to the piggy bank. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And when you
Feeling
enthusiastically,
seen, feeling heard, being validated.
hmm
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep.
it's important.
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah. So yeah, the emotional bids, the respond to the emotional bids, the words of affirmation. The other key thing that the Gottmans mentioned as well,
Mm.
and I talk about this in my Let's Talk communication program, is yeah, what did I say? Affirmate. Oh, love maps. Knowing
Mm.
your partner's love maps. So
Mm-hmm.
knowing what's going on with them. So when they come home from work and saying, "How was your day? Yeah, it was good." Then starting to ask open-ended questions. What happened? And then you start going on like, and then you'll go, oh, Jack from Sydney bloody did this and la 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 la. And that. And so this is you learning about their love maps, what's stressing them, what's going on for them in their life.
Mm.
And then you can just go, oh, so what happened with Jack today? And so it's like, oh, she's paid attention. Oh, she's heard me. And so, and doing that with your kids too, huge, huge for them.
Yeah,
As adults, we expect kids to come up to our level and do things that we're interested in. No, no, no. We got to. Not saying that we're up, you know, higher or lower,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we need to see. We need to see what's going on
It's
in their world.
taking an active role in your loved ones' lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't just observe them, be a part of their life.
Yeah, yeah. Get involved. Get in the trenches with them.
Yeah,
100%. So, yeah, the love
yeah.
maps, the emotional bids, and the words of not affirmation,
Appreciation.
appreciation. Yep, those are the three things that
Mm.
will build a really, really good relationship. So, yeah, there you go. There you
There
go.
you go.
Solving the
Well, I
problems.
hope our audience can take something from that and maybe just try it. Try just sneaking in a sneaky appreciation here and there and see how far it gets you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, we've solved the problems of the world today.
Oh, I know we did right.
So we will try and do this, what, maybe once a week, once a fortnight?
Yeah. See how we go, eh?
Yeah, yeah. So this is our pilot episode. So let us know
Yeah.
if it
Like,
was
follow, and subscribe, guys. Yeah.
love it, love it. All
We'll
right.
put some, we're on the platforms wherever you're finding this. We'll put some links into who we are and what we do, and you can let us know if you've got a problem of the world we can solve for you.
Absolutely. Would love
Yeah.
to hear. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to stop recording now. So, bye.
Bye.